Welcome to the Reinvent Your Life podcast, the show where we talk about why we do what we do and how we can do it better. My name is Chaz Molesky, and today's topic is meaning, and specifically the meaning that you put on certain things that are happening in your life, or maybe things that have happened in your past, things that maybe just happened yesterday. The meaning that you're giving these, which is defining those moments for you. So before we even get into this, I want to take a moment to explain meaning and really why we're even going to talk about it, right? There's two forms of meaning. There's the inherent meaning, which is the basic general meaning of whatever something is, and then there's a personal meaning. Personal meaning is infinitely more important, and I'll explain why in a second. Inherent meaning is the meaning of something as it stands in the universe. So, for example, the meaning of a car crash is that two cars collided together. There was an auto accident, probably some crumbling of metal, maybe some broken glass, some authorities being called, but that is the meaning. Two cars simply collided. That is the meaning of a car crash. Now, personal meaning, if you or a loved one is in one of those cars that crashes, it takes on a dramatically different meaning. And when you put this meaning on that event, it drastically changes the event. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to think back to a traumatic event that you may have experienced or something that stuck with you for years. And I really want you to focus on it. And I want you to take a minute to think about what it means to you currently. As you sit now, as you're listening to my voice, I want you to think, what does this mean to me? Or what did that mean to me? And I really want you to get deep with it. And when you find out what that was, I want you to say to yourself, say it inherently or in your own head, was that a positive meaning that you had attributed to it? Even traumatic events can have a positive meaning, believe it or not. And we'll talk about how to in a second. But was it a positive meaning? Was it a negative meaning? Most of the time it's a negative meaning because there is probably some type of loss, whether a personal loss or an external loss. Some form of loss. And I don't mean just loss of life, somebody dying. I mean, you could lose your innocence. You could lose a memory. You could lose a friend. You could lose so many things, right? There are so many things you can lose in something, especially if it's a traumatic event. If you had a positive attachment to it, a positive association to it, say, for example, you got into a car crash, nobody got hurt or killed, but the meaning of the car crash is that it taught you that you need to be more attentive while driving. Then that's a positive meaning, right? So we've attributed positivity to that event. We've taken it, we've used it, and it's enhanced our life. So the point of this is when you're attaching meaning to an event or something that happened, you have to accept and understand that whatever meaning you put on that becomes that event. So if something horrible happened to you, and you have a horrible meaning as to what that was, say you were neglected as a child, and you being neglected means your parents never loved you. And because they never loved you, that means that you can never be loved. If that's your meaning of the event, imagine what that's going to guide for you in the future when you're presented with a situation of love. Say you're getting into a relationship. Say you have a child. Say you're in this situation that requires love. And everybody could give it to you. And no matter how much love they poured into you, you would not be able to receive it because your meaning way back when, which has traveled with you now, is that you are not acceptable of love. You cannot be given love. Now, that's pretty deep, and maybe some of you don't have as deep of a meaning as that, but understand, meanings are powerful. The meaning that you put on an event becomes the event. That is the event. And when you have more meanings associated to something, it's going to dictate how you use that information moving forward. So if you've had a negative experience going forward into, say it's, a business transaction or something, and it didn't go well for you, it went south, and you have a meaning that you're bad at business propositions, you're bad at negotiation, and you get into your head about that. And when you move forward with that, you try to do it again, you're going to hesitate. You're going to doubt your abilities. You're going to doubt yourself because the meaning is that you're not good. You've associated that to you. So now subconsciously you're thinking, why am I doing this? I'm not good at it. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. And it prevents you from learning and pushing past that barrier because you have this belief. So in order to get rid of these beliefs, if you're stuck in this negative mind frame, is go back, really think about the event, and give the event a new meaning. Change the meaning of that event. And whatever that meaning is that you change, make sure that you replace any negativity with something positive, something that can move you forward. Once again, you've heard me talk about this before. I don't mean just positive thinking. I mean attach positive intention. So if you have something in the past, I'll use a silly example from my past. When I was 5 years old, 4 or 5, something around there. I was back talking to my mom, and I got in trouble, and I just kept doing it. So my mom called my dad, who had her put me on the phone. And he said he was coming home with a surprise. And I got excited. I thought, oh, sweet, a surprise is probably going to be a toy. Maybe it's a snack. I don't know what it is. I'm 4, right? So he gets home, and my surprise was that I got to pick weeds for 3 hours because I was back talking to my mom. Now, I ended up picking weeds for like 13 minutes and crying, and that's when I learned my lesson. I did not stay out there for 3 hours, but that was the punishment that was brought to me. So the meaning then that I associated to any time that my mom said my dad wants to talk to me on the phone when I was younger, that meant that I was in trouble. That was the meaning that I placed on it, was I am in trouble. After revisiting it, obviously, after years, and going back to that, I changed the meaning of what that really was. All that meant was, back in the day, was that I made a mistake and I had to learn from my mistakes. It did not mean that every time my dad calls to talk to me that I'm getting punished. All it meant was that in that moment, I needed to learn my lesson. And I needed to learn that as I am not invincible to back talking my mother, right? That's as simple as it possibly was. But what you have to do is you have to go back and you have to change what that event means to you. And once that meaning gets changed, the event starts to change. And when the event starts to change, it loses such grip that it has on you. So you can start moving on and forward from that, now attaching a positive intention to whatever it was that possibly happened. So take this knowledge and use it. Find something in your past that you've been struggling to get forward. That you've been struggling to push forward from. You've been struggling to get past. And once you find it, what I want you to do is I want you to associate the meaning, and I want you to take the meaning that you have currently for that event, and I want you to replace it. I want you to change the meaning. Now listen, this might take a few tries. Not always, especially if it's something deep-rooted, you're not going to be able to just go back and say, okay, that doesn't mean that anymore. Spend some time on it, all right? This is your life we're talking about. Actually spend some time and change the meaning of these events that have such a hold on you. Once you begin doing this over and over and over again, you're going to start to notice that all of these events start molding and changing and morphing. And subconsciously, you're going to start to feel better. You're going to start to feel like these weights are being lifted from you. And you might not believe me, but listen, do it, try it, and if you still don't feel it, then you cannot believe me, all right? But just try it. I'm telling you, it's life-changing stuff. So find these things that have the hold, change the meaning that's associated to them, and then anchor in the new meaning that you have for them. And by anchoring that in, I mean get fired up about that new meaning. You know, I lost my job in the past, and as a result, I have learned that moving forward, I'm going to take care of myself, I'm going to take care of my family, and I'm going to take care of the finances of everything that surrounds us because I am in control of my financial destiny, and being let go from a job showed me that I need to pursue my own career, or I need to pursue something for me. I need to stop working for somebody else. Maybe it inspires an entrepreneur, right? That's a simple example, but you can see how you can get fired up about a meaning and then start ingraining that into your body, ingraining that into your mind so that when you think back to that meaning, now it's changing. Now it's saying, no, this is a motivator. This is time to move. This is time to go. The reason that happened was to push me forward. It was not to hold me back. It was to make sure that I can press on, even in the worst of situations, because I create my own destiny. And that's what you must do to change your own meanings in your own lives. So take this information, spread it around. If you have friends, family, people that need to hear this, please share this with them. Let them know, like and subscribe as well. If you have any requests or you need further clarification on any of the lessons we go over, please send me a message. Drop a comment on this podcast. Let me know what you want to hear, what you want to hear more of, what you want to hear less of, and we will go from there. So thank you for listening, and I will talk to you soon.